As we enter into the energies of Pisces, let us focus on the gift waves in the teachings of Master DK related to Pisces and sacrifice, expressing the quality of humility as essential to ensure true sacrifice with selflessness, harmlessness, right speech, embodying right action, guiding our steps in preparing the way.
Sacrifice. The members of the seed groups are not immune from the prevalent failings, and many of them have sought to apportion the blame for world conditions and to criticize those who are seeking, in their own way and fashion, to deal with the situation. Clear thinking, a clear appraisal of causes, and a loving outgoing to all should distinguish all disciples at this time. Where this attitude does not exist, there is ever the danger of absorption into the vortex of hatred and separativeness, and the divorcing of the person by this, even if only temporarily, from the vortex of love. This spells danger and glamour. The very fact that disciples are all so pronouncedly individual intensifies their reactions, good and bad. I stand almost bewildered. Did I not know and love human nature so well, at the little advance in loving thinking that some disciples have shown? It is time now, in the face of difficulty and seeming inadequacy, to begin the intended group work, if such a beginning is ever to be made. Each group has been organized to fulfill a specific task. This united group work has not yet been started. That task must be begun. Groups which will be characterized by vision, cohesion, love, impersonality, sacrifice, persistency, and creative ability.
We sound the mantra of the disciples' degree. May the energy of the divine self inspire us, and the light of the soul direct. May we be led from chaos to beauty, from darkness to light, from the unreal to the real, from death to immortality.
Let us together affirm the life purpose of the serving, saving disciple. I know the law, and towards the goal I strive. Naught shall arrest my progress on the way. Each tiny life within my form responds. My soul has sounded forth that call, and clearer day by day it sounds. The glamour holds me not. The path of light streams clear ahead. My plea goes forth to reach the hearts of men. I seek, I cry to serve your need. Give me your hand and tread the path with me.
Pisces is seen at the head of the list of zodiacal signs because it is governing the present great astrological world cycle of 25,000 years. It was also one of the dominant signs influencing our planet at the time of individualization when the human kingdom came into being.
Advancing man, disciples and initiates are moving into the phases of development involving the reversal of experience and opportunity on the Great Wheel.
Master DK tells us, in this time of stress and strain, I would remind all aspirants and disciples that there is no need for the sense of futility or for the registration of littleness. The seed groups that will function in the new age are, at this time, in the dark and growing stage, and in the process of expansion, working silently. This stage is, however, most important, for according to the healthiness of the seeds and their ability to cast strong roots downwards and to penetrate slowly and steadily upwards into the light, so will be the adequacy of their contribution to the new age which is upon us. I would emphasize that fact to you. The new age is upon us, and we are witnessing the birth pangs of the new culture and the new civilization. This is now in progress. In Pisces, let us focus on the quality of the heart given to us by Master DK. Sacrifice. For still, so many aspirants have not learned to give with sacrifice.
Sacrifice. Forgiveness or sacrifice in order to save others is increasingly the recognized needed keynote at this time. And in this recognition lies much to justify the sorry story of past evolutionary processes and methods. When it is recognized that the giving for involves right living upon the physical plane and not, as is so often thought, the dying of the physical body, then we shall see a revitalized world.
Liberation. In Pisces, we as a group continue to follow the path of discipleship with detachment and renunciation, leading to eventual liberation from the bondage of matter.
Captivity, bondage. In the first cycle of experience upon the wheel, the soul itself is in captivity to substance. It has come down into the prison house of matter and linked itself to form. Later on, upon the reversed wheel, the personality is brought into captivity by the soul, but for long aeons the situation is reversed, and the soul is the prisoner of the personality.
And the word said, "Go forth into matter," aeons of captivity bondage. On the mutable cross, the cross of repeated incarnations, again and again, man enters into the sign Pisces and finds his way around the great wheel until the experience of change and of mutability and the establishing of the transmutation process carry his consciousness from the instinctual and intellectual stages to the faint beginnings of the intuitive processes in Gemini. The Pisces Virgo, Virgo Pisces Aces, two sets of characteristics which distinguish the man upon the mutable cross, both an evolved man and the aspirant to divinity. We might list this as follows. For an evolved man, Virgo, material life, the cherishing of an idea. Pisces, sensation, mediumship, fluidity. Evolved man, Virgo, the mother of the Christ child, gestation. Pisces, the word savior, mediatorship. Hence the symbol of Pisces, of the two fishes, linked together by a band. One fish stands for the soul, and the other for the personality or form nature. And between them is to be found the thread or srutatma, the silver cord which keeps them bound to each other throughout the cycle of manifested life. Esoteric astrology.
Pisces is both the first and the last sign on the mutable cross, depending upon the orientation of the aspirant and the direction of the wheel. On the right, we see the direction of the ordinary wheel going clockwise. On the left, the direction of the reversed wheel going counterclockwise.
The main objective of the four energies of the mutable cross is to produce that constant flux and periodic change in time and space, which will provide a field of adequate experience for the unfoldment of the Christ life and consciousness. The consciousness of duality in Gemini, the hidden Christ consciousness in Virgo, the soul consciousness in early stages in Sagittarius, the universal consciousness in Pisces.
The disciple on the mutable cross comes, therefore, through Venus, under the power of mind, transmuted into wisdom through the instrumentality of love. Through the moon, under the bondage of form, in order, through form experience, to achieve release and the, quote, uplift of matter, unquote, in Vulcan. Through the earth, under the influence of planetary experience, which is different to individual experience, in order to transmute his personal consciousness into group awareness. Through Pluto, under the destroying power of death, death of desire, death of the personality, and of all which holds him between the pairs of opposites, in order to achieve the final liberation. Pluto, or death, never destroys the consciousness aspect.
Release from the bonds of matter, renunciation, detachment. I leave the Father's home, and turning back, I save. The dual bondage in Pisces is brought to an end by what is called the final death, when the complete release of the life aspect from the life of form takes place. It should be borne in mind also that the soul itself is of the nature of form from the standpoint of the monad, though it is a form far subtler than any that we know in the three worlds of human evolution. There is also a dual renunciation, for first of all the soul renounces the life and light of the monad, its source, symbolized by the words the Father's home, and descends into the ocean of matter. Then, reversing itself, the soul renounces the life of form, the personality center. The soul detaches itself in consciousness from the monad, the One, and functions from its own center, making its own new and material attachments. Then, upon the reversal of the wheel, it proceeds to detach itself from the personality and reattach itself in consciousness to the One who sent it forth. Such is the climaxing story of Pisces.
On the mutable cross, the common cross of repeated incarnations, world salvation is possible today. Then comes a great process of polarization and a moment of transference, after which the influence of the fixed cross causes reversal, and the lessons gained upon the mutable cross have to be worked out and the effects demonstrated upon the fixed cross. It must not be thought that, in the early stages of unfoldment, experience is gained only through the mutable cross. The man lives in and experiences in all the signs, but the influences pouring through the mutable cross have a more potent effect upon him than those pouring in the early stages through the fixed cross. It is only when the soul is becoming more alive within the form, and the man is aware of his duality, that the energies of the fixed cross supersede in effectiveness those of the mutable cross. Just as after the third initiation, the energies of the cardinal cross begin to control the man and are of more insistent incentive than those of the other two crosses.
In the final stage, Pisces stands for the death of the personality and the release of the soul from captivity and its return into the task of the world's Saviour. The great achievement is finished, and the final death is undergone. There is no more sea, says the ancient book, which means inevitably the death of the fishes and the release of the imprisoned life into new forms or new cycles of the divine adventure.
Love, mind, experience, form, human understanding, death. It is these words upon which, from a different angle, govern the processes undergone upon the path of discipleship and of probation. The task of the disciple is to understand their significance in a practical and effective manner, and to deal with the energies which these planets release, subordinating them to the energies released by the fixed cross upon which he stands, and thus increase their potency through occult combination. It is by achieving intelligent and active response to the energies released and earlier mastered through the experience of the mutable cross, and by relating them to potencies let loose upon him whilst crucified upon the fixed cross, that he learns to prepare himself for the 12 great tests in all the 12 signs for which the experience of the two crosses prepares him. the subjective purpose underlying the sacrifice of these divine lives, who are ourselves essentially, who are qualified by knowledge, love, and will, and animated by ceaseless, persevering devotion. To bring about the death of the form in its occult significance and the consequent release of the indwelling lives into a higher state of consciousness. Of this process, all the world's saviors, past, present, and to come, are the manifested symbols and the eternal guarantees. It is in such recognitions as these that the mainspring to the life of service must be sought. People born in Pisces are frequently to be found serving the race and ministering to its needs upon some level of consciousness. Sacrifice and death. Thus, they are prepared for the final sacrifice in Pisces, which absorbs them back into their originating motive, as the old commentary expresses it. It is for this reason that the life of service and the directed intention to serve constitute a scientific mode of achieving release.
This simple depiction of the information in a tabulation that is given to us by Master Dwal Kul takes us from the point of instinct, I desire, the point of mass consciousness, through to the point of identification, governing liberation in Pisces, divine consciousness. You can study this tabulation or ponder on this image and see how the path moves from mass consciousness to individual consciousness, to intuition, the first stages of soul consciousness, illumination, the second stages of soul consciousness, to inspiration in Aquarius, governing service, group consciousness, and then to Pisces, identification, governing liberation. I and the Father are one.
Retu, love wisdom, the second purpose of deity, the cosmic Christ. The desire of the deity expresses itself through the second ray of love wisdom. Desire is a word which has been prostituted to cover the tendency of humanity to crave material things or those pleasures which bring satisfaction to the sensuous nature. It is applied to those conditions which will satisfy the personality, but in the last analysis, desire is essentially love. This desire expresses itself by attractiveness, by its capacity to draw to itself, and into the radius of its influence, that which is loved. It is the bond of coherence, and is that principle of magnetic cohesion which lies behind all creative work and which produces the emergence into the light of manifestation of those forms or appearances through which it is possible to satisfy desire. This second ray is preeminently the ray of applied consciousness, and works through the creation and development of those forms which are found throughout the universe. The Lord of Love Wisdom, who is the embodiment of pure love, is regarded by esotericists as being as close to the heart of the Solar Logos as was the beloved disciple close to the heart of the Christ of Galilee. This life instills into all forms the quality of love, with its more material manifestation of desire, and is the attractive principle in nature and the custodian of the law of attraction, which is the life demonstration of pure being. This Lord of Love is the most potent of the seven rays, because he is on the same cosmic ray as the solar deity. He expresses himself primarily through the planet Jupiter, which is his body of manifestation. His symbol is the thunder, the word that cycles down the ages.
Ray 1, Will or Power, the first purpose of deity. Behind the central sacred sun, hidden within its rays, a form is found. Within that form, there glows a point of power which vibrates not as yet, but shines as light electric. Fierce are its rays, it burns all forms, yet touches not the life of God incarnate. From the one who is the seven goes forth the word. That word reverberates along the line of fiery essence. And when it sounds within the cycle of the human lives, it takes the form of affirmation, uttered fiat or word of power. Thus, there is impressed upon the living multitude of the hidden, inexpressible ray name. Let dynamic power, electric light, reveal the past, destroy the form that is, and open up the golden door.
As regards the rays, which express themselves through the planetary rulers, and which absorb or collaborate with the influences of the sign Pisces, and thus influence our planet and humanity, we find a most interesting situation. Two major rays express themselves through the rulers of Pisces. The first ray of will or power, focused through Pluto, and the second ray of love wisdom. It is the interplay of these dual potencies which, 1. Produces the duality of this sign, 2. Brings about the major problem of Pisces, psychic sensitivity, 3. Causes the lure of the path, in the first instance the path of evolution, and later the lure of the probationary path, with the consequence that transference to the fixed cross, which is all that we can intelligently comprehend, begins really in Pisces, though impulsed, if I may use such a word, in Aries. It begins and ends in Pisces. 4. Precipitates the process of transmutation and eventual escape through death. And 5. Unfolds the significance, activity, and beauty of death and of the work of the destroyer. From this, it will be apparent how important and powerful is this sign.
In Pisces, from the will aspect of the second ray, focused in Shambhala, you have the whole story of unity, brought about the life and the will of the second ray, producing the emergence of the Christ consciousness and the appearing in objectivity of the Christ principle.
In Pisces, the work is done in cooperation, the nurturing of the life of the second ray phenomenon, a Christ, the consummation of the task of matter and its elevation into heaven. The matter aspect has been made possible, and the Christ emerges as the world's Savior.
Master Decay says, in connection with a lesser duality found in every human being, that of head and heart, of mind and love, and of will and wisdom, the work of Jupiter is to develop these two qualities and bring them into synthetic interplay. Eventually, there has to be the complete fusion of love and mind before a world savior can manifest and function efficiently. And this is preeminently the final result of the forces of the mutable cross, and they work out the qualities released by the planets active in Pisces, Sagittarius, Virgo, and Gemini. From Esoteric Astrology, page 126. In his Pisces oratorio, Michael Robbins describes the influence of Jupiter in these words. Jupiter opens the higher way. Jupiter is the holy path. Self-pity disappears. The disciple is alert for ways to give and to receive. Generosity expands.
With Jupiter, that force is brought to bear which brings all together, and, in this case, relates the two fishes and binds them together in a functioning relationship. It is the activity, consequently, of the second ray force which relates soul and form and brings the two together, and this magnetic potency is peculiarly descriptive of the activity of Pisces.
There is another point in connection with the planetary influences which DK says he wants to mention. Jupiter rules 4 signs, and each of them represents a different element out of the 4, which are expressing themselves in the 3 worlds of human evolution. The following tabulation will make this somewhat clearer. Jupiter, the ruler and the conveyor of expansion. In Virgo, the element of earth and the hidden Christ. In Pisces, the element of water and the hidden Savior. In Sagittarius, the element of fire, the hidden Master. And in Aquarius, the element of air, the hidden Server.